All right, good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Thursday, October 9th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Why do I have so much energy this morning? I mean, I'm on probably I haven't even had half a cup of coffee. I got a ton of energy this morning. Maybe I'm just ready to do the show. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the Sliwa show. Thank you for hopping on Hoops Talk. Got a fun show today. Got a lot lined up. No guests today, so I'll probably spend a lot of my time interacting with you guys, chilling with you guys, and we'll talk shop and anything that's obviously Lakers, NBA related. Got a couple things on the playoffs too that we'll do as well. So we'll hit on a lot of different things. Appreciate you guys working your way in, whether you watch this live at 8 a.m. in the morning or you end up watching it a little bit later in the day. Awesome, phenomenal. Appreciate you guys being here, and that's all that matters. Okay, let me I know we got some comments I'm going to get to in just a second. Let's take a quick look at some of the topics that we got going on for today. Finally, we'll get some Lakers basketball coming back here in the next couple of days or so. So Sunday, Lakers will get back, and it's going to be kind of if I got to be honest with you, it's going to be a kind of interesting 4 or 5 day stretch here where we're going to get a lot of games, and we'll have a lot to react to. So I'm looking forward to that. Before you know it, the regular season is going to start. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown what we're going to do for today's show. Yes, I had Harrison Fagan on, who is part of SB Nation. I thought did a fantastic job just kind of breaking down his opinion on the Lakers, breaking down his opinion on kind of his thoughts on where they are, where they're going, positives, negatives, everything that is associated with the Lakers. With that in mind, there was a topic about Reaves that I want to spend a little bit more time on. So one of the conversations was about keeping Reaves long-term and what the advantage of keeping him long-term. That's not probably talked about enough. I think people are just looking at the short-term solution with Austin Reaves. So I want to spend a second on that. I did see another trade scenario out there for Austin Reaves. I thought it was an interesting one with a player from the Toronto Raptors. So I'll just kind of present whatever that idea was. A couple of days ago, we were getting ready to do a show on Tuesday, and there was a big decision that was coming. And the decision was essentially LeBron was doing an ad for Hennessy. Well, this morning I read an article that there is a Laker fan who was suing LeBron because of that second decision and some ticket pricing that had gone up that he had jumped on thinking that Braun was going to be announcing his retirement. We'll spend a second on that one as well. I know JJ Redick had said something, whether that was yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, basically saying like nobody actually believed him. Maybe that was on Tuesday. Nobody actually believed him. No, there are people that believed him. They believed him because you saw what the ticket prices did in the open market. So we'll spend a second on that one as well. I read something yesterday that Ayton is yet to work with LeBron and Luka. So the big addition for the Lakers, I'm not talking about, they didn't just sign Giannis, but the big addition to the Lakers was DeAndre Ayton. And the hope is that as soon as possible, he can start working with some of these guys, specifically Luka Doncic for the upcoming season. But Ayton has not got any work done yet with those guys. Dalton Knecht. It was reassessed what Dalton Knecht's value is in the league. And I don't think it's very good. So Dalton Knecht's got some work to do, but I'll get into an article that explains what his value is right now around the NBA. I think that'll be interesting to look at. Giannis finally addressed the media yesterday. So Giannis got a chance to talk. I thought he had some really interesting quotes. Again, he's not really dancing around it. He's like, yeah, I'm a Milwaukee Buck for now, but, if that changes down the road, then it changes. Kind of is what it is. So I got a couple things on Giannis. Disagree with the take Kendrick Perkins had on Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'll get into that as well. Couple NBA stories that I'll hit on. Sports Illustrated had a really good article, I thought. Biggest stories of the season. And it had some stories around the NBA. It had some stories associated with the Lakers. One of them was, can LeBron go from Batman to Robin? Also talked about reseeding in the playoffs, if that would be something that, fans would want to see. I don't mind it. I think that kind of takes away from how strong the West is and how weak the East is. We'll have that conversation. A couple things on Major League Baseball in the playoffs. 4 games, obviously, yesterday. 2 games coming up today. Also a Thursday night football game tonight as well. So thank you for working your way into the chat. I appreciate you guys doing that. Let me take a quick look at a couple of the comments here. And once we get through that, we will get the show started. Morning, Slee. Happy Thursday. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Somebody says first. It was clearly not first. I love in YouTube chats, everybody just says first, and they're nowhere near to first. What a great day in sports yesterday. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I mean, I was sitting here telling you guys, how I was excited about 4 baseball games. Yankees eliminated. Toronto, you are correct, moves on. Cubs survived to see another day. Let's see a little bit more here. What do you think you become? What you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create. Ocean Breeze, I appreciate you always dropping in some knowledge and some quotes there. I enjoy reading those. Let's get a couple more in here, and then I'll get the show started. What's up, Al? I don't like this at all. Lakers leadership is not good. All their teams are hitting their stride, and here we are load managing already. Unbelievable. Well, I'm going to hold on to this one. I'll come back to it in a little bit because I think that's a good conversation with the whole Ayton having yet to work with LeBron and Luka. So I think we'll wait on that. A couple more people claiming they were first. Okay, perfect. All right, perfect. Love you too. Yeah, everybody kind of has their own, they got their own methodology here. Okay, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. Have a sip of your coffee. Why is everybody in such a rush? It's a Thursday. Just relax. What part of the world are they doing 4-day work weeks? I'm all in for that one. I think it was like 9 hours a day. And then you're working 36 hours a week, but you get paid for 40. I like that. Whatever template that is that they're using, I'm in. Technically, I don't know. This would be our Friday. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. If you guys don't mind, please subscribe to the channel. Takes just a quick second. I'd love, I've mentioned this before to you guys as well. I'd love to get as many members as possible on the show. It's $3 a month to join. You can do it. Now you can do it. You can do it from your phone, or you can do it if you're on your desktop. Great way to support the channel. Greatly appreciated either way. If you're not able to do that, just subscribe to the channel is all we're asking for. All right. So yesterday I'm having a chat with Harrison Fagan, SB Nation. He comes on and we're having a discussion about Austin Reaves and kind of playing out all the different scenarios. And I thought there were a few different angles in that conversation. And I really, really would like to see, those who are in the chat right now that are watching this live, would love to get your opinion on this specific idea of Austin Reaves. Let me lay out some different, possibilities or scenarios that can play out for Reaves. Now, the one thing I will say, I think the one that I'm going to talk about today is probably least talked about. The scenario with Austin Reaves that's least talked about is about keeping him on the Lakers long term. Because right now, there's a lot of course, knee-jerk reaction of, nope, Reaves isn't going to work because of Luka. He's there. Got to trade him. There's a lot of talk about, okay, well, why don't you just bring Reaves off the bench, even though I think all of us agree that that's not going to happen. There's a lot of chatter about, all right, well, let the first few months happen during the season. And by the time you get to the trade deadline, then, make a move there. This isn't talked about enough as well, but this is a scenario that can play out. He hits the open market, and Austin Reaves, by the time you get to the summer, is being offered $40 million a year by a team that knows they can't pry him away from the Lakers unless they make kind of an absurd offer, which technically, based on what you've heard a lot of executives and scouts and things that have been reported, is he's probably going to fall into that $30 to $35 million sweet spot is probably where Austin Reaves is going to be. And then there's also a world where he could make maybe up to $40 million a year. Might sound crazy, but that's kind of today's NBA. One thing I was talking about with Harrison, and Harrison brought up yesterday that I think is worth a conversation, is with the Lakers, and I'm sure they would consider this, what's the long-term approach for Austin Reaves? Is there a world where you do play out this season and you don't trade him at the trade deadline And he is one of your main pieces all season long and maybe even grown on what he was able to do last year. And then by the time you get to the summer, you put, I'm just going to make up a number, and let's say the open market for Austin Reaves is 35 million a year, but he wants to be a Los Angeles Laker. He's willing to take a little bit less, and he settles at $32 million a year. This is your guy for the next 4 or 5 years, however long that contract is. Is there a world where you look at Austin Reaves and are the Lakers just saying he ain't going anywhere? We're going to get him. We're going to keep him. We're going to put him under contract. He's going to be ours. He has publicly stated he wants to be a Los Angeles Laker. Maybe you get a little bit of a hometown discount because he does want to stay in LA and he does want to play, and this is the organization that gave him the opportunity. And do you kind of just close the chapter and the page on, yeah, we're not getting rid of Austin Reaves? You could technically say that for a year. You could technically do that for a year. And then after a year, I'm not talking about this season, I'm talking about next year. After 1 year with Austin Reaves, then you could start making that determination of, does this make sense or does it not? Is LeBron on this team or is he not on this team? I'm not telling you that the Lakers are going to go make a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but what I will tell you is you need players like Austin Reaves on your books if you're going to go make a trade like that. And again, I'm not, the Giannis angle here. I don't have a Giannis angle, so I'm not trying to, tie Giannis to the Lakers. You keep Austin Reaves, and that's how you're going to get Giannis. That's not my point. But my point is, if you have Austin Reaves on the books, and this year is not one of those seasons where everybody's putting their hand on their heads and saying, you got to get rid of Reaves. Like, this is just not going to work. By the way, that's probably the worst scenario. The worst scenario is Reaves clearly isn't working on this team with Austin Reaves or with Luka Doncic. And then all of a sudden you're stuck with this situation where, well, we got to keep him. And then is his value going down? What can we get for him in the open trade market? Whatever the case is, that would probably be the worst case scenario. But I do look at how there is a world where Austin Reaves can sign a long-term deal with the Lakers. And there is a world that he could be on this roster for the next couple of years. But at the absolute minimum, I think kind of if Austin Reaves is on your roster after this season and he signs a long-term deal with you, I think there is some value in that. And what I mean from that perspective is eventually if it doesn't work, you got a contract that's on your books, a value player that is an asset around the NBA. Maybe, I don't know. Does his asset deplete a little bit if he's $32.5 million a year or $35 million a year? Part of the reason also why Austin Reaves is such a great asset is he's making pennies on the dollars. So I just wanted to bring that up because in that conversation with Harrison Faigen yesterday, part of me, I think, is not giving enough attention to this dude could be here long term. I mean, there's no question about it that the Lakers could say he ain't going anywhere. We're going to build with him. Eventually, LeBron's not going to be here. We want another offensive threat like Austin Reaves. And there is a world where a couple years from now, Austin Reaves is still a Los Angeles Laker and hopefully, obviously, thriving in that role. Now, before I take a look at some of the comments, and I know people will give their opinion and their thoughts, I saw something yesterday, and I've brought this name up before, and this name came up probably maybe about a week ago or so, something along those lines. So let me kind of go back here for a quick second. About a week ago, I mentioned that there was I was listening to NBA Sirius XM, and they were talking about how if you really, really want to build, and I do lean towards this, if you really want to build around Luka Doncic, then you got to put all the players around him that make sense. And Austin Reaves, if you went on your list of give me all the guys that make the most sense, that I'm most excited about, pairing up with Luka, I don't think Reaves is going to be on that list. If you're picking any players in the NBA, I don't think the prototypical player is another backcourt player that can't play defense and is more offensive focused. I don't think that's the prototypical player most people would think of. And there was a name that came up on NBA Sirius XM, so I'm listening, and they said, what about a guy like RJ Barrett? And I think I even mentioned it on the show. I'm like, that's an interesting name. For those who don't know a ton about RJ Barrett, he's in Toronto now. He was with the New York Knicks at one point. But I saw a trade scenario that came up. This was Tom Ziller, who covers the NBA. I know does a Substack as well. And I'm just going to kind of lay out what he said in regards to trying to make a trade. This is kind of where it gets a little bit complicated this year. It gets complicated because if you're trying to trade Austin Reaves, he's just not making enough money. So you're going to have to add another, at least one, maybe two other contracts if you're trying to trade Austin Reaves. Again, just a hypothetical here. But at the same time, that team is now going to be working within an expiring contract, and then they have to know, hey, we're going to get a chance to trade for, or we're going to get a chance to sign this guy long term, right? Because if that's not the case, then why they even what's the point of even having the discussion or the conversation? Let me do this. I'm going to pop this up. I'm going to share this with you guys. Again, this is Tom Ziller, covers the NBA, does a good job on Substack. Just a proposal out there, just a trade idea out there, and I'll share it with you guys to see what you guys think. I think it's too much right out the gate, kind of off the top of my head. I think it's too much, but I'll let you guys make that determination. So share my screen here real quick. Here's the trade that he had in mind in regards to Austin Reaves. RJ Barrett, Jamison Battle, for those who don't know, young player, another one of these kind of wing players, 6'7", 6'8", right around there. I think he's a rookie, averaged 7 points, or last year he was a rookie, so he'll be in his sophomore year, averaged about 7 points in his rookie campaign. Here's what the Lakers would have to give up for RJ Barrett. Austin Reaves, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt. First, let me say, RJ Barrett's a really, really good player. You know, for those who maybe haven't watched a lot of RJ Barrett, I don't blame you. I don't know why you would be watching RJ Barrett. He's a nice player. RJ Barrett's got some talent, no question about it. But let me just at least kind of break down what RJ Barrett is for those who aren't watching him on night in, night out basis. Played almost 60 games last year, not ideal. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Perfect size, 6'6", 6'7". Can play shooting guard, but most likely he's going to be in that small forward position. Not a perfect guy to go guard other point guards, but you don't technically, you can be strategic with him and put him somewhere else. You could have him play more of that wing player, and then you obviously slot in another guard that goes into the spot of where Austin Reaves was. But just gives you a little bit of an idea of what RJ Barrett is. The problem with a move like this, look how many pieces you got to give up. 3 rotational players. Gabe Vincent, I'm not as worried about, but the Vando piece. Vando's a tough one to walk away from. I'm a Vando fan, and I think you guys know that I'm a Vando fan. You'd be giving up basically 3 rotational pieces for RJ Barrett, and RJ Barrett, as far as contract-wise, he's in the middle of a 4-year, $107 million deal. It ends next season. So basically you got him this year, and then you got him next year, but it's an expiring contract next year. And RJ Barrett's going to get paid too. I mean, he's incredibly young as well. He's got a lot of promise. I like the concept of RJ Barrett. I don't think I like this trade. I mean, I don't think I like the idea of this trade. I think of some of the other trades that are out there. We've seen the Andrew Wiggins. We've seen other players that have been out there. Honestly, I would rather take a chance on a guy like Andrew Wiggins, knowing that it's more of a little bit more of a short-term type of thing. And then I also know that I'm keeping Austin Reaves. I'm not getting rid of that asset. But the idea and the concept of long-term or short-term with a guy like Austin Reaves, I think there are some advantages long-term. And then I think there's some disadvantages if you're trying to get rid of him right now. You're going to have a lot of things work your way in order for that to happen. Again, this is the same person that said from the beginning, I find it difficult to think if you're going to properly build around Luka that you're not using the Austin Reaves asset in some shape, way, or form. We'll see what happens on that front. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here. I got a lot of comments that are up here. I will say this. If you had some comments a little bit earlier, it's going to be tough for me to go all the way back. So just keep it in mind if you want to kind of get your comment on the latest threads here. Let's see. Reaves is making enough money to move for a younger player such as Dyson Daniels in Atlanta or Ivy in Detroit. I'll tell you what, I don't think either one of those guys are going anywhere. Dyson Daniels had a phenomenal season for the Atlanta Hawks. Ivy is a stud in Detroit. And if you're Detroit, why are you – what would be the reason of getting rid of Ivy, a Pistons team that seems like they're on the up and up? Victor, pass on Barrett. Let him stay in the 6 with Drake. Again, these are just ideas, thoughts that are being thrown out there. I do think I like RJ Barrett as a player. I don't think RJ Barrett is worth Austin Reaves, Jared Vanderbilt. If you want to throw Gabe Vince in there as well, just because he's an expiring contract, you get him for basically, let's call it a year and a half, and then you got to go pay him probably an absurd amount of money. I'm hesitant on that one. Let's get a couple more in these here. No way too much. Is he even an all-star in 2 to 3 years? Maybe in the East, because it's the Eastern Conference. RJ Barrett is inconsistent. A lot of people here saying RJ Barrett is too soft. Look, let me say this as well. I'll say part of the advantage of giving Reaves a long-term deal is then you don't have to, use other players when you go make a trade. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. If right now Austin Reaves is making so little, you have to throw Vando in. You have to throw other assets in. If you have him next year, and then you obviously put yourself in a situation or a position where he's making 30 and change. Now it's much easier to match contracts if you're making a trade. Slee, another dump on Reaves episode, waste of time. Robert, I got nothing to dump on, brother. I think it's safe to say that Austin Reaves is a conversation, whether you like it or not. It's going to continue to be a conversation. Even he at one point thought he might get traded in the offseason. It's not something you could avoid. We can't just pretend like it doesn't exist. And I don't think it's a dump. I think Austin Reaves offers a lot, but I also think Austin Reaves is definitely one of those players that you have to question whether that's the right player for the future. Reaves' skill set doesn't work next to Luka. He got shut down offensively and got picked on defensively in the playoffs. He's not a starter on a championship contender, point blank. For me, some of that is more not a starter on a championship contender. I think is going to just depend so much more on what's the rest of the team look like. If you got a really good center, a really good forward, the bench is good. I mean, he can definitely be on a championship roster. And I think he could be a starter on a championship roster, but everything else got to be perfect. Like perfect. But I understand the hesitation. Wiggins is a better fit with Luka and just a better player flat out. Reaves is damn good for an undrafted guy, but there's levels. Here's the thing, guys. You don't need to. Lakers aren't going to be giving up Reaves for Andrew Wiggins anyways. So I don't think you got to worry about if Lakers are able to get Wiggins, they're not going to be giving up Austin Reaves for Wiggins services. That's just, I'd be shocked if that happened. So I just mentioned that because I think there's a path to get Wiggins. I mean, doing a deal with Miami, I'd always be concerned about because Pat Riley's on the other side. But I think there is a path to get Wiggins, and I don't think that path would have to include Austin Reaves, nor would I think the Lakers would actually entertain that. Okay, I'm going to get a couple more, and then I want to move on here. I want to move on here in regards to a couple of the topics that I got. Here's a good question. Slee, would AR start in OKC? No. Would he start for Denver? You want Jamal Murray there with Austin Reaves, or you want Jamal Murray there with Brown? They go Jamal Murray. They just made a trade, so now they got traded away. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. They got Cam Johnson. Is there enough balance there to kind of hide them? It's a good question. That's a really good question. Does he start for the Celtics, Cavs, Knicks? Garland, Donovan Mitchell back there already, not a great backcourt. Knicks, I don't think he starts because I think they do have kind of that balance that they're looking for. It's a good question. I think the point you're trying to make is, hey, These are championship type of rosters. Is he starting on any of those teams? We start on the Lakers, and whether you think Lakers are, top 5 or not, a lot of these power rankings have them at top, or whether you think they're a championship contender or not, a lot of these teams have them on there. Good questions. That's a good. I think, Victor, what he's referring to more is not the Celtics of today, the Celtics of last season. Where you got Drew Holiday and you got, some of Porzingis is on that team. I think today it's a different story because the Celtics are not championship contenders. So that's got a lot to do with it. That's got a lot to do with it as well. Okay, let's keep things moving here. I do appreciate the back and forth and that conversation. I think the last thing I'll just say on Austin Reaves, there is value to bringing Austin Reaves back, signing him long-term, and then figuring out what you do from there. I think there is value to that. And I've had this conversation plenty of times. I've had this conversation with Trevor Lane. We've had our conversations. At the end of the day, I do have hesitation thinking that you can really, really compete for an NBA championship with Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic in your backcourt. So we'll see what the Lakers obviously do from that front and what they do moving forward. Okay, let's keep things moving here. I don't know if you guys saw this story, and I actually, to be honest with you, I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on it, but it is a story. TMZ is reporting this. We know what happened a couple days ago. There was a lot of hype, right? A lot of hype around what's this announcement that LeBron's going to make, and initially when he had his tweet that came out, and one of the stories that came out of it, forget the whole Hennessy VSOP. You thought it was dumb that he did that. You thought it was brilliant that you did that. I don't really care. That's not kind of the conversation. But something did happen that everybody was reporting on. Everybody started reporting on, did you see the ticket prices when LeBron is getting ready to announce whatever he's going to announce at 9 a.m. on Tuesday? Ticket prices skyrocketed. And if you look specifically in the month of April, those last couple of weeks, final game against Cleveland, Lakers against the Utah Jazz, I think was the final regular season game. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I know they played the Jazz last, and I only know that because of this story that came out. When that story came out, one of the biggest effects was, hey, do you guys know that ticket prices are skyrocketing through some of these third-party ticket brokers? So I know a lot of people kind of looked at this, and as we got a little bit closer to the announcement, everybody's like, hey, this is going to be an advertisement. Everybody thought it was going to be Amazon Prime. It ended up being Hennessy. I thought about it the next day. I'm like, I remember even JJ Redick saying something to the effect, like, anybody who thought he was going to retire, whatever his quote was, he's basically saying, like, how bad can you misread that? Well, a lot of people apparently misread it. And when the story first came out, and there is a tension around LeBron, and nobody knows how long LeBron's going to play for. And of course, when LeBron decides, hey, this is it, this is my final year, or maybe he announces, however he announces it, and whenever he announces it, that's a big deal. And tickets will go like crazy to see one of the greatest in his final games. And you hold that ticket and you say, yeah, I went to one of LeBron's final games, and it cost me an arm and a leg, but damn it, it was worth it. He's one of the greatest players. I got to watch one of his final games. Okay. Why do I say all that? There's a fan who is suing LeBron. I'm not telling you anything is going to come out of it, but let me just give you the story and the details. Andrew Garcia, a 29-year-old lifelong Laker fan, I'm reading this off of TMZ Sports, and TMZ is the one that reported it, filed a lawsuit in a small claims court in Los Angeles County on Wednesday. So he did this yesterday, claiming James owes him $865.66 after he says the Hooper seemingly intimated he was about to announce his retirement. So what is he saying? And I'll read a little bit more of the details here. Garcia purchased 2 tickets for March 31st, 2026 date for $432.83 a piece. But he says when LeBron on Tuesday revealed his big decision, It was merely just for Hennessy. The tickets lost almost all of their value. So he was buying tickets to a Lakers Cleveland Cavaliers game. Tickets obviously went up. Ticketmaster, this, that. Here's the last thing that he said. He added an interview. I wouldn't have purchased it if he wasn't going to retire, plain and simple. He also wrote in the suit, James owes him because of fraud, deception, misrepresentation, and any and all basis of legal recovery. Okay. All right. That's you go look at some Laker stories today. This is one of the stories that's out there. Here's the only, do I think this is going to hold up? I should have asked Brad Wallace here before I got on here. I think it's going to hold up. Probably not. Do I think? I mean, I don't know anything about what happens in court. The only thing that I will say that LeBron did not put on his tweet, he didn't put ad. A lot of times people put hashtag ad. They'll put something that's, hey, this is an advertisement. I think they have to kind of let you know that it is an advertisement. Now, granted, he didn't say anything about Hennessy when he was doing it, but this will be, I don't know how interesting it's going to be. I don't know if this is going to be something that actually holds weight. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of other people that bought tickets for the final couple of weeks of the regular season are like, hey, if this guy's filing a lawsuit, I'm going to also file a lawsuit. And obviously we'll see where it goes from there. That's the only thing that I could think of that maybe Braun didn't cover his bases is just by putting hashtag ad. Now, if Braun does owe this guy $865, I think he's going to be okay. And I don't think he's going to have to pay him $865. But instantly, some of the stories this morning that were coming out were based specifically off of that. And the idea and the concept was, he misrepresented the announcement. Everybody thought he was going to retire. I went out and spent almost $1,000 or whatever the case is. Some other people saw. We saw all the ticket prices that were shooting up. And now these tickets have absolutely no value. All right. I would have hesitated, or I would have waited. I don't know if I'm buying those tickets and, I'm sure a lot of people are also buying those tickets to scalp them or whatever the case is, but I'm probably not buying tickets before then. But you got one person that's not happy about that announcement, and the announcement obviously having to do with Hennessy. All right, let's keep things moving here. I got definitely got a few other things I want to get into, and I know I got a lot more comments that I want to read as well. Before I do so, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you to their partnership on this channel. You see, you got legal trouble. I don't know who this guy who's representing him, but why don't you start with the Wallace firm? Injury attorneys obviously representing the state of California. Built out a website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. What's great about going to the website, get an absolutely free consultation. So at no point do you have to be in a position where you're coming money out of pocket and you're not sure what to do. No, it's a free consultation. They'll sit you down. They'll talk to you about the case. Do you got something here? Do you not? They'll give you advice. They'll point you in the right direction. Serious injury or wrongful death. Please give my guy, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, give them a shot, give them a chance. I know that, by the way, I hope you guys never need an injury attorney, but if you go anywhere around Southern California, you see these billboards everywhere. He's the best in the business. He's respected in the business, and, he doesn't need to be out there trying to shout his name everywhere. But he clearly has done a phenomenal job in the state of California, and he could help you if you need some legal representation. The Wallace firm, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. And like I mentioned, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Take a look at a couple of the comments here before we get started. His feelings are injured. You might be right. Might need to call the Wallace firm for that one. Brad Wallace to go. It's love. Look at the love you guys got for some of these people. I appreciate that. Let's see what we got here. It's going to cost this guy more money to hire an attorney than just eating the additional $300 he spent. Yeah, but maybe the attorney's promising him the fees. Don't worry. LeBron's going to pay for your fees. Is making an announcement about being in an ad? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I lost that one. He was going to resell it. Could be right there. By the way, there's no way determining that. Maybe he just wanted to, maybe simply put, he just wanted to go to one of LeBron's last games. I'll tell you this. This is a bad example. It's a bad example. But when you knew Kobe was going to start that kind of retirement tour, changed everything. The whole season became about, well, I want to see Kobe one last time. And if you're somebody that had an opportunity, now listen, my opportunities were different because I wasn't paying for a ticket. I had a credential, I had a pass, I could go to Laker games, and I wasn't paying for a ticket. But to be at Kobe's last game, and anybody that paid $500 for it, $1,000 for it, whatever it was, I have to imagine anybody that was there said that was worth every single penny. Is one of the best sports memories I might have. Kobe dropped 60. It was just unbelievable. I'm not telling you that every player on his way out the door is going to do what Kobe did, but obviously people do think of that, and they do think of Michael Jordan's last game, Tom Brady's last game, LeBron's last game, or his last couple of games. There's a lot of value to that. So people are probably saying to themselves, if they can, then they'll get that opportunity and try to be there. And if they pay that much money and then they find out, yeah, he's not, then you go from there. Going to start a class action against Slee next time you start the show late at 8:01. I'll countersue. Coming after you, bro. I mean, I'm coming after you. Coming right after you. All right, let's keep things moving here. There's a few other things that I want to get into. I got people suing me on my own show. I got a couple of things I want to get into, and then I got a couple of NBA stories. Let me just say this. I will say that there was one piece that I was reading this morning. DeAndre Ayton has not yet gotten to work with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. So I'm going to go back to something that I started a little bit earlier. Juan was nice enough to throw this comment in early on in the chat. He said, "What's up, Alan? I don't like this at all. Lakers leadership is not good. All their teams are hitting their stride. All these other teams are hitting their stride. And here we are load managing already. Unbelievable." The reason why I want to wait on this is because I think this kind of tied me in a little bit with the Ayton story. So let me just I'm going to read a couple quotes here because and then just set everything up. We don't think LeBron's going to play in the preseason. There's a good chance. Shams has reported it, probably gearing up and ramping up towards the start of the season, and hopefully he's ready to go for the regular season. Okay, Luka, we kind of got set on this one early on, played Eurobasket, was busy all summer. Obviously what he did with his body and his transformation, we not 100% sure how much we're going to see of Luka. Now, I've said this, and I don't want to sound like, I know it's preseason. I know they're only 2 games in, but it was kind of, the first 2 games, it's like, what can I really take away from these first 2 preseason games if Luka's not out there? Austin Reaves is not out there. Austin Reaves not out there for one of the games. LeBron's not out there. And I remember, making the comment of, I want to see, it's not, I don't care what Luka does. I know what Luka's going to do. I don't need to see Austin Reaves. I know what Austin Reaves is going to do. But I want to see Luka with Ayton. Or I want to see how LeBron, Ayton, and Luka work together. And I'll give LeBron a free pass, 23rd season. I get it. But some of these other guys, I think the hope is that they are out there. And there is some proper preparation for the start of the regular season. So here's a quote from Ayton. Was asked the question if he's got a chance yet to work with LeBron or Luka. He said, "I haven't. It's something I've just been waiting on and just got to prepare. JJ and the coaching staff probably have something where they can put stuff together for all of us to really grow chemistry." So, one way of looking at this is, okay, hypothetically, maybe they're getting reps together in practice. Well, they're not, or at least they haven't yet. So far through training camp and preseason, that part's a little disappointing to me because I would like to see a lot of these guys get reps together before the regular season starts, even if it's not a preseason game. And I think the hope is I mentioned that Lakers just have this big chunk of games that are coming up. They're going to play 4 games in 6 days. And that's it. That's going to be their ramp up. And then the regular season is going to start. Hopefully, we're not starting the regular season and, the chemistry is way off. And it's going to take Ayton and Luka a month to kind of figure out some stuff, timing, things along those lines, rotations, and everything else. I hope that's not the case. But these next 4 games, can we see Luka in a couple of these games? Can we see Ayton and Luka get some run together? Can we see Jake LaRavia get some run with Luka and Marcus Smart and some of these other guys? That's kind of, listen, I know health is the most important thing. No question about it. But you want to see these guys just get some run as well. I've heard some of the old school guys like Michael Thompson talk about how what their whole goal was in preseason and training camp wasn't to win games, but it was to be ready for the regular season. So once the regular season started, it's like everybody's all ready to go. And, when I saw that quote from Ayton that he hasn't got a chance to see them, and, he's basically saying, hopefully the coaching staff will put some stuff together and they can grow chemistry, and that's going to be the idea. But it's probably going to have to come if they don't get some run together. And I think they will get run. I got a feeling over these last 4 games, maybe we see Luka for for 3 of the games, and he ends up playing 3 of the 6 preseason games, something like that. But I do think they need to get some kind of run. All right, we'll take a look at some of the comments here, and then I got an article that I'm going to read here from Dalton Knecht, or on Dalton Knecht, and we'll go from there. Take a look at some of the comments. Let's see what we got here. Any update on Marcus Smart? He did start practicing, so I think that's obviously the good thing. He's back in practice. Yesterday, I was reading some quotes. I know there was, how many different things were there? There were, Vando had some stuff about kind of envisioning what it would look like playing on the court with him. Austin Reaves was having to go up against him, and he just talked about his physicality. What's the other one? I think JJ Redick had some stuff as well. I think Vando was the one that kept pointing out how great he communicates. So that's something to keep in mind here. So, yeah, I think he is working his way back, and we're getting a little closer. Let's get some more in here. Ayton should be the 3rd scoring option. I think he'll average 20 and 12 off of Luka's screens and rolls and putbacks off of offensive rebounds. Okay, let me tell you something. If that happened, 2 things would be the trickle effect of Ayton having those types of numbers. I'll kind of explain to you from my perspective. If Ayton is putting up, hypothetically here, Ayton's putting up 20 and 12. That means he's going to be a Laker for just this season, and then he's going to go get paid next offseason, which, by the way, is kind of the goal here, right? It's kind of the goal for everybody. Hell, maybe he gets paid by the Lakers. But if Ayton's putting up 20 and 12 and feasting off of Luka Doncic, that means 2 things happen. He's going to get paid next summer, and that means the Lakers are a really good team in the Western Conference. Because think about their lack of front court ability last season after Anthony Davis got traded. Their lack of defensive presence, their lack of rebounding, their lack, really exposed in the playoffs. Lakers were able to kind of hide that during the regular season. But if the man's putting up 20 and 12, we got a whole different, probably season that's open on this. I'm torn on this. They obviously need to develop team chemistry, or they run the risk of having a poor start this season, but it's also just preseason. Listen, you're fine to be torn on it completely. I understand it is just preseason. I'm not saying they got to go play 35 minutes. I'm just saying, can Luka and Ayton have some time together in the preseason just for chemistry purposes? And you could play 6 minutes in the first half together and 6 minutes in the second half together. I don't really care. Just kind of something. I do think you should get some run. But we'll see what happens. Lakers have a pretty easy start of the season as far as the schedule goes. People really care about preseason instead of ensuring everyone is fresh for the playoffs. LeBron played 72 games last year, and it cost him. Yeah, well, LeBron is the exception. LeBron doesn't have to do anything. And guys, I want to make sure I mention this. When I'm talking about the preseason, nobody's saying we need to see Luka slapping the floor on defense and getting in a defensive stance and playing 45 minutes. Just get some run. And because Ayton is going to be such an integral piece, there's a lot of these other teams that already have the chemistry. Jokic doesn't need chemistry with Jamal Murray. The Knicks don't need chemistry with Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. They played a full season together last year. Houston's going to need some time for some chemistry. Clippers, adding some different people might need some time for. It's the teams that don't have any time together are the ones that I'm more referring to. Okay, let's get a couple more in here, and we'll go on 8 in here, or we'll go on. We will go on Dalton Knecht. Luka going to be Luka. It's the rest of the team and the coach. I don't think Luka is going to be Luka. I think Luka is going to be the best version of himself this year. That I genuinely actually believe. Best version of himself. Over under is 33 games for Marcus. Please tell me no. He played 51, 52 games in the last 2 years combined. So I get the hesitancy in thinking that he's going to be available. He's going to need to be available. Let's just put it that way. He's going to need to be available. All right, Dalton Knecht. Knecht's value. Let's get into this here real quick, and then we still got a bunch of other little things I want to get into as well. I'm going to read something off of Hoops Hype here, but this came from The Athletic. So this is an article from The Athletic, okay? Is it Athletic? Just double check here. Make sure I'm giving the proper credit. Yeah, it was The Athletic. The article was basically, can Dalton Knecht be the player the Lakers need? He has to figure out who he is. Okay. So I'm going to take just kind of a piece of the article. I grabbed it from Hoops Hype. Hoops Hype does a phenomenal job of just kind of getting to the meat of some of these stories. So let me read what I want to read to you guys. Having already been traded once, Dalton Knecht's availability wasn't considered a real secret in Las Vegas during Summer League. The Lakers desperately need a player whom teams desire close to as much as they desire the team's lone tradable first-round pick. So basically what they're trying to say there, they need him to be an asset. But scouts and executive almost unanimously felt that the Lakers wouldn't be able to recoup comparable value to the number 17 pick they used when they selected Dalton Knecht. Some felt the team might be able to get its hands on multiple second-round picks, while the most critical felt Knecht would return just a lone second-round pick. Again, having already been traded once, Knecht's availability, and it kind of just goes into, the idea of what his value is in today's NBA. This doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, earlier in the week, I did I think you guys remember this. On Monday, I was talking about how I wanted to do a video on Dalton Knecht on Saturday, but I waited till Monday, got 2 preseason games of him, and I just said, listen, I'm concerned. I'm worried about Dalton Knecht. I'm worried that is the guy going to get an opportunity to crack the rotation? Right now, he's on the outside looking in. And then the other concern that you have is, what is his value in the NBA? If you're going to go out there and make a move for Dalton Knecht, here's an ideal thing for all Laker fans. I'll tell you. You want Gabe Vincent to have a career year this year. You want Rui Hachimura to have a career year this year. You want Dalton Knecht to be the best version of himself. Give me more players that have expiring contracts or you just want value with. Even if you end up trading these guys, the hope is that you're trading them with another team thinking that there's some value to them. If Gabe Vincent is the same player he was the first 2 years, he's a throw-in in a trade and nobody cares about him. You're just trying to make the salaries work. If Rui Hachimura is, kind of the player that he's been off on, not really that aggressive, this, that, really what is his value in the NBA? And I think Dalton Knecht, which is a completely different story, obviously he's not a vet. He hasn't been in the league for 7-8 years. But look at where his value is right now. His value is the Lakers wouldn't be able to recoup comparable value to the number 17 pick they used when they selected Knecht. Some felt the team might be able to get its hands on multiple second-round picks, while the most critical felt Knecht would return just a lone second. I will tell you this. If I'm another team out there and I could get Dalton Knecht for a second-round pick, I'm making a trade for Dalton Knecht. I am. If I'm the Lakers, I'm not making a trade for a second-round pick. not one at least. I mean, maybe multiple second rounders. I think for Knecht, it's more about a bigger deal. Hypothetically, if you made a trade with Miami, do I think Dalton Knecht in a new environment, new atmosphere, a team that maybe kind of values his skill set, a team that needs that specific type of player and it's not clogged with the guards that they have, then I think Dalton Knecht can actually be a player that kind of changes the narrative for himself. But if I'm another team, I'm taking a chance on Dalton Knecht. But Dalton Knecht on the Lakers, I don't really have that much confidence in. I just don't. I mean, I don't know what would give me an abundant amount of confidence in what I've seen from this player over the last 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months, whatever you want to call it. And, it's not all his fault. I think him trying to, I heard JJ Redick say something during one of his pressers that he's working so hard and he's trying so hard that it's almost affecting him because of that. So that's the Dalton Knecht story that I had that I wanted to share with everybody, and I'll read some of the comments here. Let's see what we got here. Lakers should use the 2024 Finals Mavs model. AR's ball handling guard, Ayton rim running big, LeBron shooting point forward. We just need to determine the POA, the point of attack role. Also had Hardaway, Exum, Hardy. The one difference in this too, I would tell you, J1, is the Dallas was so balanced. They had really, really good defenders as well. So I think there's a lot that goes in there. Let's see what we got here from same article. But after a rough preseason debut when he shot 1 of 12, scouts left Palm Springs as pessimistic as ever, one even calling Knecht a negative asset. Yeah, I mean, performance-wise, there's nothing really that he's done. Nothing that he's done, at least up to this point, that would give people a lot of confidence. Also, defensively, he's not a good player. Makes a lot of mental mistakes, I think. I was talking about during the preseason game on Sunday, he just stands around and watches too much. Brother, you got to be moving all the time. Me too. I thought DK was going to be a sniper, maybe on another team, but not the Lakers. Going after the Lakers for? Relax here. No intensity for Dalton, but he's working on it in practice. Knecht won't find confidence on this team. That might honestly be probably the best way to put it. I just don't know if he's going to be able to regain that confidence on this team. Doesn't mean it can't happen on another team. It doesn't mean he might have a game here or there, but it seems like mentally this dude is he's shot in the sense of his mental kind of capacity. I feel like that portion is gone. It's why I'm concerned about our bench. Really don't have a scoring bunch. Yeah, definitely teams with a lot more depth than the Lakers. Let's put it that way. All right, let me get one more in here. Others play their stars, even if it's limited runs. I have yet to get a good grasp of who we are as a team. What are we doing here? Meanwhile, other teams are establishing chemistry. This goes back to the kind of preseason conversation that we were having. The preseason conversation of Ayton basically saying he hasn't got a chance to play yet with LeBron or with Luka, and will he get opportunities over these final 4 games to get some chemistry? I mean, here's the reality, to be completely honest with you. There's nothing that they can do in these next 4 games to start the regular season and say, oh, we got chemistry. But over time, the regular season obviously will be a big piece of it as well. Someone was asking me to kind of break down the schedule. It is favorable in the beginning. They'll have some tough games. I mean, you got Minnesota, you got Memphis, you got Golden State. There's some games out there that I would look at and say, okay, these aren't going to be layups. A couple of those games on the road. So, all right, let me see 1 or 2 more here, and then I'll start getting into some of my NBA stuff. Rui and Knecht are not enough for Wiggins. I agree. Riles says, give me that first or flip Reaves to a third team to get another first. Yeah, I go back to this. I probably make this point too much. Anytime in any sport a deal is being made, you're hesitant with the good, smart front offices. If I'm making a deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm like, I don't know. If I'm making a deal with Miami and it's Pat Riley, I'm not sure. If it's Charlotte, I'm open for business. If it's Sacramento, I'm picking up the phone. I might even fly over to come see you. certain franchises have a reputation, and Miami is one of the franchises because of Pat Riley, where you're like, am I getting bamboozled and I don't even know? And maybe Dallas is a good place to pick up the phone and start with. All right, let's keep things moving here. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out. And I appreciate all the comments as well that everybody's kind of chiming in on. As you guys can tell, it makes for a great conversation during the show. Okay, I got a couple other things. Let's do a little NBA action here real quick. Got a couple things on the NBA that I want to get into. Obviously the last couple of days, Giannis has been the story. I don't know if you guys saw some of Giannis's quotes. Let me just pull this up. We could look at it together. I think everybody agrees. There's nothing that comes out of Giannis's mouth to make you think, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to be a Milwaukee Buck for years to come. So let me just kind of walk through this real quick. Here's Giannis, some quotes from yesterday, okay? This is the first time that he's kind of addressing the media. I've said this many times. I want to be in a situation that I can win. I believe in this team. I believe in my teammates. I'm here to lead this team to wherever we can go. It's definitely going to be hard. We're going to take it day by day, but I'm here. So all this extra stuff doesn't matter. Here is probably my favorite quote. I wear this jersey. The rest does not matter. I'm locked into whatever I have in front of me. Now, if in 6-7 months I change my mind, I think that's human too. Listen, I don't know how anybody's not going to, whatever he says, if in 6 or 7 months I change my mind, I think that's human too. That's all people are going to obviously pay attention to. It's interesting what he said about the summer, about temptation. He's talking about, the off season. He says it's temptation. That starts when the season ends until the season begins. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to approach me or approach my agent, and they're going to say that this is a possibility, that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, ultimately, I'm going to make a decision. My decision today is that I'm here and I'm committed to this team. So that's Giannis Antetokounmpo not helping the Milwaukee Bucks in any stretch of the imagination by, some of those quotes yesterday. And listen, I think Giannis, I think Giannis is just trying to be honest. And I think Giannis has been very, very honest in his perception, how he feels, what his goals are, what he wants to accomplish, how he loves Milwaukee, but at the same time, he wants to try to win multiple championships in his career. He wants to be in a situation where he's competing for a championship. I respect his honesty. And I think if you're Milwaukee, you're a little delusional to not, be thinking that this relationship's going to end. One way or the other, it's going to end. And you just got to be better prepared for it. Now, I read some stuff this morning, and to be honest with you, the last person I want to hear from is from Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers just, I don't know, denying everything like Doc Rivers does and pretends like nothing to see here. That's fine. I mean, he's the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, so I guess I understand that that's the only way. How else is he supposed to approach it? But he is so in denial of this entire situation, so I'll leave it there. I thought Kendrick Perkins said something on Giannis that, Kendrick sometimes says things where I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good point. And then Kendrick says things that I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Kendrick Perkins on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He has to grow some balls. He doesn't want to be there. He's scared to say it. Listen, maybe some people will agree, but I don't think Giannis doesn't have balls. I think Giannis has put his organization in a position where this could happen if you don't get me a championship roster. I think he's also being honest. I think there's a little piece of him as well that's trying to be strategic. I think if you do get traded to another team, you want to be smart where you end up going, and you don't want that other team to get fleeced. I think he's being strategic. It's also the start of training camp and preseason. What does it help him to say it now that I want out? I think Giannis is a nice dude. I think he's a respectable guy, and I'm a fan of his. But I don't think Giannis is scared to say it. I think Giannis has been saying it, but he's giving Milwaukee an opportunity to see if they could do anything about it. But I think the reality is there's probably nothing Milwaukee can do about it. Now, unless they go out and they have a really, really good start to their regular season and he feels like, you know what, maybe we could come out of the Eastern Conference here. Unless it's something like that, I think it's just a matter of time until Giannis leaves. But there's a couple quotes there in regards to Giannis and some of his quotes as well. I'll take a look at some of the comments here and keep things moving. Nick G, you're awesome, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate that very much. Means a lot, buddy. Giannis is top 3 in this league. Hopefully top 4 this year because he gets passed up by Luka. Rob Pelinka destroyed Knecht's confidence. Yeah, I mean, listen, I thought the move the Lakers were trying to make it made sense. They were trying to get a big, and there's nothing you could do about it. So, I don't blame Rob Pelinka for trying to make that move. Now, it didn't happen. And maybe he hurt Mark Williams' value as well in that, process. But now Mark Williams is in Phoenix. All right, let's get a couple more in these here and keep going. Some people going after Perkins. Giannis been hurt twice in the playoffs since 2021. I don't blame Giannis for losing in the first round. Okay, let's keep going here. They did kind of choke that last game against, obviously that last game against Milwaukee. So anyways, let's keep going here. Eli coming in. Eli, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you very much. Eli, let's go sleep, get some coffee. If you haven't become a member, tell me through. Eli, I appreciate the shout out, brother. Look at Eli promoting the channel right there. Thank you. Thank you, Eli. If you'd like to be a member, $3 a month. We get a couple members right now. Let's get a couple members in here. I appreciate it. Everybody that is a member, thank you. And for those who are considering it, I appreciate it as well. Eli, shout out to you. I appreciate that comment there, and I appreciate the 10 spot, brother. All right. So Giannis, that story isn't going anywhere. That story is going to be there for, obviously until he's actually moved and goes somewhere else. Sports Illustrated, real quick on this one. Inside the biggest NBA storylines for the 2025-2026 season. Obviously, Giannis is a big storyline. Desmond Bane, how good will he be with the Orlando Magic? Is this the year of Wembanyama? These are just some of the storylines on there. One of them, can LeBron James go from Batman to Robin? So for 22 seasons, they mentioned he's been the unquestionable alpha. It's been his team, but now it's the start of a new era. It's got Luka Doncic. Publicly, LeBron said all the right things, all that stuff. If you're asking my opinion, can LeBron go from Batman to Robin? I think LeBron's already proven it. To be honest with you, I think take last season when Luka got here, I think there was a point where LeBron was okay with playing off the ball. He adjusted easily, did whatever the team needed him to do. And I'm not worried about LeBron going from Batman to Robin. Now, there's going to be times where LeBron's still Batman, but I think he's going to understand for the success of this team and for the team to go as far as it possibly can, Luka's got to be Batman. The 26-year-old's got to lead this team. So good article in Sports Illustrated, like I mentioned. There was another quick piece here that I'm going to put from an NBA news perspective. The other one was, will there be a conversation about reseeding? The Western Conference got so many good teams and the East doesn't. And I think the idea here is, do you reseed for the playoffs to kind of balance out that balanced schedule? So instead of going 1 through 8 in the East and 1 through 8 in the West, the idea is, do you go 1 through 16? And the best team in the NBA, let's call it the Oklahoma City Thunder, and let's say the 16th best record that's going into the playoffs. I'm just going to name a team. It's the Atlanta Hawks. I'm just naming the team. Well, then the OKC Thunder got the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. And then number 2 versus number 15, number 3 versus number 14. If you want me to be honest with you, I think that'd be really cool to see just all these different matchups and to see that, You can be playing, Lakers could be playing the Knicks in the second round or the third round or something along those lines. But I know there's also a lot of history, and I think a lot of people wouldn't like that history, and they want a Western Conference Finals and an Eastern Conference Finals. If you told me they're reseeding the NBA tomorrow, I would say try it. I'd be okay with it. It would kind of screw things up from a travel perspective because you could have Philly taking on the Golden State Warriors, and you got this, travel that's absurd in the beginning. But I like the idea. That's one of the other top storylines that Sports Illustrated had on their article. Okay, let me jump into a couple baseball things, and then we're going to get the heck out of here and go from there. Is there any other comments that was referencing that? LeBron equals Robin. I do think LeBron's got no problem adjusting to any role. LeBron is Batman and the leader of our team. F Luka hasn't won a damn thing. Okay, that's one way to look at it. A little passionate in that one. Didn't see that coming. Yesterday, last topic I'm going to get into. Yesterday, there were 4 Major League Baseball playoff games. And I was mentioning to you guys, I'm like, games are starting at noon. I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you get to watch baseball all day. On a Wednesday, you get 4 playoff games. It was phenomenal. Now, I didn't sit and watch 4 baseball games, all 4 playoff games, but it was great to just kind of have them. Whenever I wanted them, they were there for me. Mariners took an early 3-1 lead. Lost to the Tigers 9-3. Detroit sends this back to Seattle. Series tied 2 apiece. Their next game is coming up on Friday. They'll be the standalone game on Friday. Tigers and the Mariners, and Schoolboy goes for the Detroit Tigers. Actually struggled against the Seattle Mariners, but what a really good series. This has been, I've said this a couple times, been the best series. I know yesterday was a blowout, but they will play for winner take all coming up on Friday. Tigers win yesterday. Cubs survived to see another day. They beat the Brewers 4-3. If I'm right, didn't they score all 4 of their runs in the first? Yeah, they scored all their runs in the first and did not score again. So the Cubs and the Brewers, it's 2 games to 1. So Milwaukee with the series lead there, and the Brew Crew and the Cubs are playing tonight at 6:00. So they will play game 4 coming up tonight. All right, let me keep going in a couple of these other games. Toronto, my Blue Jays. I just jump around now. Now I'm basically jumping around from every team. Toronto takes out the Yankees. 5-2 the final score. The Blue Jays move on. Kind of actually a fun team to watch. They probably should have won game 3 and should have swept them, but I think it also shows a lot to lose that game the way they did after being up 6-1 and then follow back up the next day and get a W. So the Blue Jays are moving on. They will be hosting whoever comes out between Seattle and Detroit in the ALCS. And then the last game last night was the Phillies and the Dodgers. The Dodgers lost the game. What do you know? Only took them 77 playoff games to finally lose a game. Dodgers lose to the Phillies, 8-2 the final score. Yamamoto gets the L. Yamamoto gave up a 600-foot home run to Kyle Schwarber, and I think it's still going out. Literally, I think it was 455 feet, hit the top of one of the pavilions I was reading this morning. I think that's only happened a couple of times in that ballpark at Chavez Ravine. Philly obviously had the lose both games at home, so home field has meant nothing in this series so far. But I do think Philly lost the series after game 2. We'll see what eventually happens, but you can't go down 0-2, especially against the Dodgers, and then have, obviously 2 on the road. But they did survive yesterday, so never know what happens. Maybe things kind of change. But 8-2 the final score. Philly beats the Dodgers. That's kind of an interesting one. Kershaw eventually comes in 2 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, gave up a couple homers. I mean, Kershaw, I know they're not dependent on him like they have been in the past, but his playoff woes continue. His postseason woes continue. And listen, you can say both. He's one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and he's one of the least clutch postseason pitchers from somebody who's got that high of a bar. His postseason is it's just another kind of page to the man cannot be relied on in the postseason. Coming up for both of these teams, so they'll play again. That's coming up a little bit later today, actually an afternoon game, about a 3:00 start. It's Philly and the Dodgers. Dodgers obviously trying to close it out. Philly trying to survive and see if they could take this thing back to Philadelphia. Pitching matchup for today, if I saw this right, I know Glass now was going for that's right, Sanchez for Christopher Sanchez for the Philadelphia for the Phillies. That's basically their ace since Wheeler went down. So that game's coming up at about 3:10 or so. All right, that's my quick little breakdown here from a baseball perspective. We'll get a final couple of comments here before we get out of here. Let's see what we got. Victor's talking about the Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I honestly believe this. You go up 2-0, it's just a matter of time. And when you're a team that's that good, I think it's just a matter of time. Brewers, real deal. They got to get through Chicago. I think if you force yourself to a game 5, then, you're making yourself, you're not asking for, how do I put this? You're playing with fire. Let's put it that way. You're playing with fire. Blue Jays own the Yankees all year. I'm not watching much of those AL games or AL East games, but it was actually fun to watch them dominate them the way they did. Okay, final thing I got here, just another quick shout out. Eli, I appreciate you. Thank you for being a member, and thank you very much for the 10th spot. I appreciate that very much. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Anthony Irwin's going to join me tomorrow. Anthony Irwin, part of Clutch Points. He's going to come on. He's done a good job of getting some information out. I used a little bit of his info earlier this week about the Rui Hachimura, kind of the favorite here to be in the starting lineup. So I asked him to come on the show. He's going to come on tomorrow. So we'll have a chat tomorrow, preview some of these Laker games that are going to be coming up because there is a game coming up on Sunday. And then after tomorrow, it's basically all reaction now to a lot of these games. So that's going to be a fun part of the season to start getting into. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the topics. Please subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning.